Today I'm going to show you 3 excellent clones of original Dior fragrances from the brand of French Avenue. Hey guys, I'm George, the nice medic gentleman, and it's time for your dose of some fragrance content. Today I'm going to talk about 3 somewhat new releases from the brand of French Avenue, which are excellent clones of original fragrances from the brand of Dior in my opinion. They come from the same line, which is called the Zenit line, and at the moment at least it has 3 members. They're called Zenit Vanilla, Zenit Blue and Zenit Tobacco. And again, all of them are cloning original Dior fragrances. Now I'm going to show you only one box design because they come from the same line, and the only difference is, as you can see with the bottles, the color combination on the bottles. The same goes with the box design. I'm going to start with Zenit Vanilla, and this is the way that the box of Zenit Vanilla looks. As you can see, on the front you got the name of the fragrance, the name of the company. On the back you got the bottle size and the concentration, which is respectively 100 milliliters and EDP concentration. This is the way that you open up the box. And if anyone is interested, the production date on all 3 bottles is May of 2025. This is the way that the bottle looks. This is the only bottle that's actually transparent. The other 2 are sort of on blacked out or like have solid color. The caps on all are plastic, but they're a snug fit, and to be honest I kind of like this more simplistic, more traditional bottle design because sometimes I get tired of this crazy bottle designs when it comes to Middle Eastern fragrances. All 3 also have a pretty decent sprayer as well. As I said, I'm going to start with this white and transparent bottle one, which is called Zenit Vanilla, for one main reason, and that's because I find this one to be the most unisex fragrance. In fact, I find it to be leaning a little bit to the feminine side. Now, this one is heavily inspired by Vanilla Diorama, part of the Dior private line. As I said, it has a good sprayer, and I'm just going to spray it once more. Now, as the name would suggest, Zenit Vanilla, this fragrance relies on a hefty dose of a vanilla note, but that's not the full story here. If you're not familiar with the original fragrance, this also has a bit of orange note in it, but the orange note doesn't feel so citrusy. It feels more on the sweeter side because I think the exact note is candied orange, meaning you get more of the fruity side of the orange fruit, or rather than the citrusy side. This also has a bit of freshness in the opening. I think there's a bergamot note in here. It has a boozy note, there's a rum note, just like the original fragrance has a rum note. Has a bit of spiciness as well. In fact, the spiciness is quite strong in the opening, and has lots and lots of the vanilla. Now, the more that this dries down, the less of that spiciness and freshness from the opening you'll get. The dry down is more about basically the note of vanilla with a bit of that of that booziness. So it's a vanilla based fragrance that I find leaning more to the feminine side rather than being something masculine. It's a unisex fragrance, but basically I find it to be leaning to the feminine side. The quality is good, the scent is pretty similar to the original fragrance, but maybe this feels a little bit sweeter, a little bit more heavy on that fruity side of the original scent profile. And it's a good fragrance for those of you who like the note of vanilla. Quality is really good. Now, when it comes to the performance of Zenit Vanilla, this is probably the least performing one out of the 3, but it's not a bad performing set. Total longevity on skin has been pretty solid. I've been getting around about 78 hours of performance out of this one. Where this lacks a little bit is the projection. It's more on the intimate side, or not intimate, but more on the moderate side when it comes to projection. It sits closer to the skin apart from the first few minutes when you spray this one. So it's a fragrance more for personal enjoyment and more for sort of on close encounters type of deals, rather than something that you want to wear to be noticed all around you, unless you heavily overspray this one to get stronger projection. Price wise, all 3 are roughly priced around the same price point, and we're talking about 35 to 40 euros here in Europe, so that would mean like $40–45. So they're slightly more expensive than some of the other clones, but not as expensive as some other fragrances from the brand of French Avenue. Overall, this is a very solid release. It's a very solid take on a vanilla diorama that has really nice quality and again leans a little bit to the feminine side. The next one that I'm going to briefly talk about will be Zenit Tobacco. This is again a fragrance that's heavily inspired by a Dior fragrance from their private line, which is Dior Tobacco. Again, bottle design is pretty similar, only coming in this sort of a dark brownish color and a solid bottle. You can't see the juice easily. Again, we're talking about a very nice sprayer in this case. And as the name would suggest, this is a fragrance that relies on a lot of the note of tobacco. Although if you look up this fragrance on Fragrantica, you'll see that there's no tobacco listed. This definitely has quite a bit of tobacco. And it's a very nice interpretation of, tobacco. So we're talking about a fragrance that relies on a lot of tobacco. It relies on a strong honey note as well, which here you get a lot of the sweetness from in this fragrance comes from that honey note. There's a bit of tonka bean, which adds a bit of powderness on the dry down. There's a bit of a fruity action going on. There's something like an orange or a mandarin note, which adds just a little bit of a freshness in the opening to the otherwise quite dark and thick scent profile. There's a dark chocolate note with this fragrance, and there's some patchouli as well. If you are familiar with the Dior Tobacco, this smells pretty close to that original fragrance. It's a fragrance for those of you who like the note of tobacco, sweet, dark, thick, tobacco-based fragrances. I've been really enjoying this one. I have another clone of Tobacco which comes from the brand of Maison Alhambra. It's called Tobacco, I think, and in my opinion, Zenit Tobacco is way better when it comes to the performance, when it comes to the actual quality of the scent. That fragrance from Maison Alhambra just was a bit too rough. The tobacco note was quite strong and overpowering, where here, you know, the whole fragrance is blended a lot better. And you can feel, you know, those additional notes apart from the honey and the tobacco. You can feel the mandarin, you can get the patchouli, you'll get that tonka bean. All around, this is a very nice fragrance. Another area where this really shines from my experience is the performance. This is the best performing out of the three. I've been easily getting over 9 hours of performance with this fragrance, and with a very strong projection as well in the first at least 2 hours. So if you like strong fragrances, if you like tobacco based fragrances, if you're looking for an alternative or clone of Dior's Tobacco, Zenit Tobacco is a really great option in my opinion. Again, pretty similar price wise, and I find this one to be again unisex, but definitely leaning to the masculine side. And I'm going to finish off with the third fragrance, which is called Zenit Blue. This one is, again, as you can see, bottle design very similar to the other ones, this coming in a blue color. This is a fragrance that's very heavily inspired by none other than Dior Sauvage, the original Dior Sauvage. And again, this is a superb alternative of Dior Sauvage. You're getting that spicy, ambery, woody scent profile that has this blue feel to it, that feels very versatile, that feels very masculine, that's very likable, that's very mass appealing. The only difference here that I pick up between this one and the original is the fact that I find Zenit Blue to be ever so slightly fresher in the opening, a little bit more citrusy, and on the dry down this develops a bit of a sort of a soapy vibe to it, something that I don't pick up out of the original fragrance. The original Sauvage feels a little bit more ambery, this one just somehow feels a little bit fresher. But overall, in the air, this smells super close, and the quality here has been absolutely superb. Initially, when I first got this fragrance, it had just a hint of syntheticness in the first seconds, but nowadays this smells superb in my opinion, and again the quality is top notch. If you're looking for a great Middle Eastern clone of Dior Sauvage, then look no further than Zenit Blue. This has been really impressive. I know people love to hate the original Dior, Dior Sauvage, but you know, that fragrance is legendary for a good reason, and again those are the facts that it's super versatile, masculine, and it's crowd pleasing. And the same can be said about Zenit Blue. It offers really nice performance as well. From my experience, compared to the current batches of Dior Sauvage EDT, this is pretty much has the same performance. If you give this one a few weeks, I've been easily getting at least 8 hours of performance out of this fragrance with good projection, and overall this is a super versatile scent. This one I find to be the most masculine leaning out of the three, and again price wise pretty similar to the other ones, 35 to 40 euros. And again, if you ever need only one fragrance in your life, something that you can wear just you know, all the time, this is a fragrance that can serve that purpose. So guys, in today's video I showed you 3 excellent Dior clones from the brand of French Avenue. All of them are part of the Zenit line. Zenit Vanilla is a very nice clone of Vanilla Diorama from the brand of Dior. Zenit Tobacco is a great clone of Tobacco from the brand of Dior, and Zenit Blue is probably right now my most favorite and best Middle Eastern clone of the original Dior Sauvage that you can get. I hope that you found today's video interesting. If you did, give it a like, and I also hope that you're going to join me in the next one for your dose of some fragrance content. And until then, stay safe and bye bye.